All right, so you know how we like to really get into the weeds here with these deep dives?
Mm-hmm.
This one, someone sent us Aparoksha or Self-Realization
Okay.
by Sri Shankaracharya.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and this one's really cool because it's got the translation and commentary from Swami Vimuktananda.
Nice.
So,
Always helpful.
it is, right?
Yeah.
Like having a guide in these deep philosophical waters, right? Because we're talking about Advaita Vedanta here.
Which is a whole other thing, right?
Well, yeah.
Like Advaita Vedanta is
But it's a whole journey in itself.
Yes.
But the whole point of this text is to help us experience self-realization.
And what makes this text so unique is its practicality.
Oh, tell me more.
It's not, us just like reading about theories in a book,
Right.
like grasping at these big concepts.
Right.
It's really about directly experiencing the truth.
It's like a user manual.
Yeah, like a manual for inner exploration.
I love a manual. So we're not messing around with just theories here. We're talking about Aparoksha, that direct experience.
Direct experience, yeah.
Which, honestly, even saying that Aparoksha, I feel like I need to like sit down and really like...
Breathe it in.
Yeah, breathe it in.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, Sri Shankaracharya, he starts strong.
Okay.
Like right off the bat, first verse, he's bowing to Sri Hari.
Okay.
Now, Sri Hari is not just any deity.
Right.
He's the destroyer of ignorance itself.
Whoa.
The supreme bliss, the original teacher.
Okay.
So like right away, he's setting the stage.
He's setting the tone.
Setting the tone for this core message.
Okay.
Which is that the individual self, what we call Jivatman,
Okay.
is ultimately identical with the Paramatman.
With, yeah.
The universal self.
The universal self.
Yeah.
So we're saying like our individual sense of self is an illusion.
Exactly.
And our true nature is literally one with everything with Brahman.
Brahman, exactly.
That's a lot.
It is.
Like even just hearing that.
It's a big concept.
It's a big one.
But the text doesn't just tell us this, right?
Right.
It invites us to feel it.
Ah.
So Sri Shankaracharya, he kind of pushes us. He's like, who am I?
Okay.
But not in like,
an existential crisis.
an existential crisis way.
Yeah.
But by really examining like how much we identify with our body, our mind,
Yeah.
these senses that are always changing.
Right.
It's like when you stare at those optical illusions
Oh, yeah.
and suddenly you're like,
You see it.
bam,
Yes.
you see it totally differently.
This is like shifting our perspective on everything.
Exactly.
Ourselves, the world. Like,
Everything we think we know.
yeah, how do we actually do that?
Well, Sri Shankaracharya, he uses these thought experiments, and some of them are pretty out there.
Like what?
Okay, so think about dreams, right?
Okay.
They feel so real
They do.
until you wake up.
Yeah.
And the text is saying that our waking life, which was what we call real,
Yeah.
it's also an illusion just on a much grander scale.
So we're all living in this massive shared dream.
Kinda, yeah.
That's kind of terrifying, but also kind of freeing.
It definitely makes you question everything.
It does.
And the text calls this misunderstanding avidya, or ignorance.
Okay.
It's this avidya that keeps us from seeing our oneness with Brahman.
So avidya is like the cosmic blindfold we're all wearing.
You could say that, yes.
And Aparoksha is like
It gives us the tools
to take it off.
Exactly.
Well, it's not just about knowing this stuff.
Right.
It's about embodying it, right?
That percent.
Like really living it.
Living it, breathing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? Because it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, I'm one with everything.
Sure.
But it's another thing to actually feel that and live that.
Well, the text outlines 4 qualities that we need to cultivate.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Almost like prerequisites for this inner journey.
Like a curriculum.
Yeah, like a curriculum for the soul.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me the first one. Hit me with it.
All right, so the first one, it's called vairagya. You've probably heard this translated as dispassion,
Okay.
but
Does that mean I have to like give away all my stuff and
Right.
go live in a cave?
it doesn't have to be that extreme.
Okay.
Vairagya is more about understanding that everything is temporary,
Okay.
like seeing through that illusion of permanence.
Everything is always changing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not about rejecting the world or the things in it.
Right.
It's more about changing how we relate to it.
Less clinging, more appreciating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because even those like really blissful moments we might have,
Right.
they fade away.
They're fleeting.
They're fleeting.
Right.
So true vairagya, it's like really understanding that deep down, not just like,
In your head.
yeah, not just a mental concept.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. And that ties into the second one, right? Viveka.
Yes, viveka, which is discrimination.
Discrimination. Okay.
But not in the like
Bad way?
yeah, not in the bad way.
Okay.
This is about being able to tell the real from the unreal. So it's like being able to see the difference between our true self, that Atman which never changes,
Okay.
and everything else.
Which is
Our thoughts, emotions, experiences,
all that stuff.
all that stuff that's constantly changing.
Like the weather.
Exactly.
Okay, so Viveka is like,
It's like having that clarity to be like,
oh, that's just a thought.
yeah,
That's just a feeling.
that's not really me.
Okay, I can work with that. What about number 3?
Number 3, we've got Sama and Dhamma,
2 for 1?
2 for 1.
Okay.
And these are about restraint.
Ooh, restraint.
But not like,
Not in a bad way.
not in a restrictive,
Okay.
like suffocating way.
Right.
Sama is about controlling the mind.
Okay.
That's a good question.
It feels impossible sometimes.
That's like trying to tame a wild monkey.
Yes.
But that's kind of the point.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those desires and distractions and not letting them completely run the show.
Not getting swept away by them.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's Sama. What about Dhamma?
Dhamma is similar, but it's about controlling the senses.
Oh.
So it's not about like, never enjoying a delicious meal or anything.
Okay, but good, because I was getting a little worried.
But it's about finding balance.
Moderation.
Moderation, yes.
All right.
Not letting our senses completely dictate our actions.
So not being ruled by cravings or impulses.
Exactly.
Okay, I can get behind that. And what about the final prerequisite?
Okay, so the last one is actually 4 parts.
Oh boy, 4 in 1?
I know, right? It's a mouthful: Uparati, Tipiksha, Shraddha, and Samahana.
Okay, well, let's take those one at a time.
Okay.
What is Uparati?
So Uparati, it's like this turning away from those tempting sense objects.
Okay, so kind of like Dhamma, but...
Yeah, but even more internal,
Okay, got it.
like consciously choosing to focus our attention elsewhere.
Got it. Okay.
So that's Uparati. Then we have Titiksha,
Titiksha, okay.
which is often translated as endurance.
Endurance, so like pushing through tough times.
Yes, but not in a like grit your teeth and just bear it kind of way.
More like resilience. Exactly.
It's about facing those inevitable challenges in life with patience and understanding.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, suffering comes from our own ignorance and attachments.
So it's not about seeking out suffering,
No, not at all.
but about changing our relationship to it.
Precisely.
Okay, I can dig it. What about Shraddha?
Shraddha, that's a good one. This is about faith.
Faith, okay.
But it's not just any kind of faith. It's about deeply trusting the teachings of the Vedas
Okay.
and the wisdom of the teachers who've walked this path before us.
So trusting in the lineage?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And finally, Samadhana.
Samadhana, we've touched on this a bit before. This is about concentration.
Okay.
Specifically, it's that single-pointed focus on Brahman.
Okay, so quieting the mind chatter and really honing in on that ultimate reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so these 4 things, along with Sama and Dhamma, it's like they all work together to create this space where self-realization can actually happen.
You got it. It's like they're creating the fertile ground for this transformation to occur. They're not separate goals, but they all weave together to create this tapestry of liberation.
I love that analogy. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're not just cultivating these individual qualities, but we're weaving them together to create this whole new way of being.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a lot.
It is.
But Aparoksha it makes it clear that it takes more than just good qualities, right?
Yeah.
There's this active process of inquiry,
Yes.
of vichara.
Vichara is essential.
Okay, so tell me more about vichara.
So vichara is this active inquiry into the nature of reality.
Okay.
It's about constantly asking ourselves, who am I really?
Okay.
What is this world that I experience?
Not just accepting things at face value.
Exactly. It's about going deeper,
Okay.
penetrating that veil of Maya to see the unity that's underneath it all.
So it's about training ourselves to see with new eyes,
Yes.
to perceive the interconnectedness of everything,
Exactly.
to recognize the Brahman that's like shining through all of creation.
You got it.
But this isn't just a mental exercise, right?
No, it's not just about thinking about it.
It sounds like a total transformation of how we experience
But
reality.
you're getting it. It's about embodying this truth.
Okay. So how do we do that?
We talked about those 4 foundational qualities, right?
Vairagya, Viveka, Sama, and Dhamma, and that other quartet.
Yes, exactly. All of them.
Okay, those are like the building blocks.
Yes.
But what else is there?
So the text highlights Shatsampat, which are the 6 treasures.
The 6 treasures. Okay.
As in tree, these are Sama, control of the mind, Dhamma, control of the senses.
Okay, we talked about those.
We did, but here they're seen as active practices,
Okay.
something we're constantly refining and honing through consistent effort.
So not just like nice ideas, but actual skills that we're building.
Yes, exactly.
Like an athlete training their body.
Precisely.
Okay.
And Aparoksha uses these vivid metaphors to describe it,
Oh, I love a good metaphor.
like a potter shaping clay,
Okay.
a washerman removing dirt, a goldsmith refining gold.
So it's about purifying ourselves, revealing the masterpiece within.
Yes,
Okay, this is resonating so deeply with me.
it's great to hear.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
this big question of like cause and effect.
Okay.
If Brahman is everything,
Yeah.
how do we account for all the diversity, the messiness, the sheer variety of the world around us?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like it.
Well, Aparoksha it actually addresses this directly.
Okay, good, because I was going to say.
It reminds us that the effect cannot be different from its cause.
Okay.
So the phenomenal world in all its glory and chaos,
Right.
it's not separate from Brahman.
Okay.
It's a manifestation of Brahman.
Like waves on the ocean.
Exactly.
Each wave is unique, but it's all just water.
You got it. And Aparoksha takes us even deeper.
Oh boy, how much deeper can we go?
It explores the three states of consciousness:
Okay, hit me.
waking, dreaming, and deep sleep.
Okay.
And these become tools for understanding the illusory nature of our perceived reality.
So it's like those moments when you wake up from a dream and you're like, wait, was that real or not?
Exactly.
It makes you question everything.
And that's the point.
Okay.
In dreams, we create entire worlds. We feel real emotions.
Right.
And then poof,
Gone.
gone.
Like it never happened.
Exactly. And the text argues that our waking state might feel more real than a dream,
Right.
but it's still filtered through Maya.
It's still an illusion.
It's still an illusion.
So our perception of reality is fluid,
Yes.
subjective, constantly shifting.
It's all about perspective.
That's both unsettling and empowering.
How so?
Well, unsettling because it throws everything into question,
Right.
and empowering because maybe we have more control than we realize.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Aparoksha suggests that by cultivating a higher state of consciousness,
Okay.
we can transcend these limited perceptions and directly experience the non-dual reality.
That oneness with Brahman.
Exactly.
So it's about waking up from the dream of separation. Realizing that fundamental unity that binds everything together.
I got it.
It's like realizing we're not separate drops in the ocean, but the ocean itself
Beautifully said.
experiencing itself in countless different ways.
I love that.
And this isn't just a nice thought, right?
No, it's not just a feel-good concept.
This realization changes everything.
It changes everything because Aparoksha is adamant that knowledge of Brahman isn't just intellectual.
Okay.
It's a direct, visceral experience of our true nature.
So it's not just about knowing.
It's about being.
Okay.
It's a merging of our individual consciousness with the universal consciousness.
Wow.
A complete shift in identity.
And this is where we experience true liberation moksha.
Yes.
Freedom from those cycles of suffering, of birth and death, of constantly chasing after something outside ourselves.
Freedom from that constant striving.
Yes.
That feeling of never having enough.
Right.
It all dissolves.
But it sounds like it's not exactly a walk in the park to get there.
It's a journey.
Our minds are easily distracted,
They are.
prone to doubt.
The mind is a tricky thing.
It is. So how do we work with that?
Well, Aparoksha it's honest about the challenges.
Okay.
It compares the mind to a wild elephant,
Okay.
a restless monkey,
I feel that.
a flickering flame.
Yes.
Still always seeking something new.
Always on to the next thing.
Exactly.
But we don't have to be victims of our own minds, do we?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those tendencies,
Okay.
not getting discouraged, and gently guiding ourselves back to the present moment,
Okay.
back to that awareness of our true nature.
So it's not about forcing the mind into submission,
No.
but training it like a wild animal
Yes.
with patience and compassion. And
Okay.
we're not trying to eradicate thoughts,
Right.
but to change our relationship to them.
Precisely.
This whole time I've been thinking like, this is great stuff, really profound.
Yeah.
But Aparoksha, it doesn't really sugarcoat. It does it.
No, it doesn't.
Like it acknowledges that even when we grasp these concepts,
Right.
even when we're like, I'm going to do the practices I'm in,
Yeah.
doubts still creep in.
Of course.
It's like, okay, maybe this Brahman thing is real,
Right.
but what about my life?
Yeah.
What about my experiences?
Exactly. And the text actually addresses that directly.
Okay, good, because I was like, hello, Sri Shankaracharya. I'm over here.
It reminds us of that analogy we talked about before, like mistaking a rope for a snake.
Oh, yeah.
Aparoksha is saying true knowledge isn't just about intellectually understanding that the rope isn't a snake.
Okay.
It's about that feeling of fear dissolving when you realize it's not a snake.
Right.
That peace that floods in.
So it's not enough to just be like, oh yeah, the world is an illusion.
It's not enough to just think it.
They gotta feel it.
You have to embody it.
Okay.
You have to see it reflected in your everyday experiences.
So how do we actually do that?
That's where those 15 steps come in.
The 15 steps.
Those practices that we've been unpacking,
All right.
they're not just for, meditating monks.
Yeah.
They're tools for integrating this wisdom into our everyday lives.
Okay, so how do we take these ancient practices
Right.
and make them relevant to our modern, often chaotic lives?
Well, Aparoksha stresses that consistent practice is key,
Okay.
even in small moments.
So it's not about like, I have to meditate for an hour every day.
Not necessarily. It's
No.
more about creating a rhythm of practice.
Okay.
Think of it like tending a garden.
Okay.
You weed, you water, you nurture the soil,
Right.
not just once, but consistently over time.
Right.
And these practices are the same way.
Okay.
Consistent effort, however small it might seem,
Yeah.
creates the space for profound transformation.
So it's less about these big, grand gestures and more about just those daily choices
Exactly.
that cultivate that awareness, presence, connection.
You got it.
Okay, but what about those moments, and they happen to all of us,
Of course.
when our minds just won't quiet down? Like,
Yeah.
what's the advice there?
Aparoksha meets us with compassion. It reminds us that a distracted mind, it's normal.
Thank you.
It's natural even.
Okay.
Instead of scolding ourselves,
Which we all do.
we can approach those moments with gentle curiosity.
Oh, I like that.
It's like noticing a child getting caught up in their play.
Right?
You don't shame them for it.
Right.
You gently redirect their attention.
It's like cultivating that kind and patient inner voice,
Exactly.
like a wise friend who helps us find our center again.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And that's what this text is. It's like this wise friend
It really is.
guiding us along this path.
And reminding us that self-compassion is key.
Oh, say more about that, because I think that's so important.
We can be so hard on ourselves.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to spiritual practices.
Right.
Like, we think we need to be perfect meditators
Right.
with perfectly quiet minds.
All the time.
But that's not realistic.
It's not.
So instead of striving for this unwavering focus,
Right.
we can learn to befriend our minds,
Okay.
to work with them, not against them.
I like that because it takes the pressure off.
Exactly.
Because then it's not about like banishing thoughts. It's
Yeah.
about being curious about them.
Yes.
Like, why is this thought here?
And who is noticing this thought?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like those thoughts become the very things that guide us back to our true nature.
Precisely.
It's not about getting rid of them, but seeing them as pointers,
Yeah.
as signposts on the path.
I love that analogy.
And as we keep asking those questions,
Right.
shining that light of awareness into the corners of our minds,
Exactly.
we start to see more clearly.
Yes.
Like, oh, the world isn't happening to me.
Right.
It's arising within consciousness.
You got it.
It's like we're not separate from the movie of our lives.
Yes.
We're the projector.
You are the projector creating it all.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is a profound shift in perspective.
And Aparoksha acknowledges it takes courage and commitment,
It does.
but it also reminds us that we're not alone.
We're not meant to do this alone.
And that's where satsang comes in, right?
Exactly.
Surrounding ourselves with wise and supportive companions on the journey.
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Because we all need that support,
We do.
especially when things get tough.
Absolutely.
And they will get tough.
They will.
But having that community,
Yeah.
those people who get it,
Who understand the terrain,
yes,
who can offer encouragement and support.
it's invaluable.
It is.
And, Aparoksha makes it clear
yeah.
that the journey is worth it.
It is 100% certain.
That the destination is more incredible than we can even imagine.
It's described as a state of unimaginable peace,
Wow.
of boundless freedom,
Okay.
of realizing our true nature as one with everything.
So it's not a place we go to.
It's not a place.
It's a way of being.
It's a state of being,
Here and now.
here and now, accessible to every single one of us.
That's so inspiring.
It is an invitation.
It's like this ancient text is a living, breathing invitation
Yes.
to wake up to who we truly are.
To step into our true nature.
And it's about taking that first step and then another and another.
One step at a time.
Trusting that the path, however challenging, ultimately leads us home.
It does.
And that's what this whole deep dive has been about, right? It's
Yes.
about exploring this incredible text Aparoksha.
Unpacking its wisdom.
It's seeing how we can apply it to our own lives.
Exactly.
Because it's not just meant to be understood.
It's meant to be lived.
It's meant to be lived, and that's what we're all trying to do.
Yeah.
Figure out how to live this wisdom.
One day at a time.
One breath at a time.
One thought at a time.
Exactly.
One choice at a time.
And that's what I love about these deep dives is that we get to do it together.
We do.
So wherever you are on your journey,
Yes.
know that you're not alone.
You have a community here.
We're all in this together.
We are all connected.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
So until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions.
And keep
practicing because it's in the practice that the magic happens.
It does.
All right, everyone, until next time.